Disaster shakes a central Illinois community, changing lives forever. We look back from 1968 on the anniversary of the Moweaqua mine collapse, from 1990 as families dedicate a memorial, and from 2001 at poignant reminders about decades of danger. Plus, meet a man who found his groove, restoring jukeboxes. Hear from balloonists blowing hot air and a high-in-the-sky adventure. And wanted dead or alive when Central Illinois was more like the Wild West. That and more next from the Vault.
The stories that made news and made history. The places that mattered to us and the people who made Central Illinois home. Join us from the Vault.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Matt Metcalf. Coal mining was one of Illinois' earliest industries, starting decades before we even became a state. Mines dotted the central Illinois landscape, providing jobs for those willing to brave the long hours and brutal conditions underground. Safety was always a concern, and when the Moweaqua mine collapsed in 1932, killing more than 50 people, the story made local and national headlines. WCIA's Mike Jackson looked back on the disaster's 35th anniversary.
A mine disaster is a particularly difficult thing for those of us here on top of the ground to understand. We cannot see or feel the terror of an underground explosion or an earth slide that traps men underground. Nor can we find it easy to understand that 54 men have died.
But the story of the disaster of 1932 and the death of 54 coal miners is outlined clearly in the town's weekly newspaper, the Moweaqua News. It was a Saturday morning only 2 days before Christmas in 1932 when 54 miners descended to a cavern 625 feet below ground. They were to have begun work in an area which had been blasted the preceding Thursday and which had begun to burn on Friday. In a common procedure, the room on a side tunnel was blocked off from air and the fire was supposed to have been smothered. But apparently, walling of the cavern had been incomplete. For only 15 minutes after the 54 men entered the room, workers at the top of the shaft noticed the airflow was reversed and dust and smoke belched out of the mine. A dozen rescue workers went in immediately. They found a fall of dirt, coal, and slate blocking access to the trapped men. It took 24 hours before any of the entombed miners could be found. A dozen bodies were pulled from the room on Christmas Eve. The grim work continued on Christmas Day as 24 more men, all dead, were taken from the mine. As families of the men began to lose hope, rescue work became more difficult. Only one body was recovered Tuesday, the 40th victim. No progress was made Wednesday, and the last victims were removed Thursday. By order of the county coroner and against the wills of the deceased's families, the bodies were placed in sealed caskets and funerals were scheduled for Friday. The Moweaqua Coal Corporation, owner of the mine, curtailed operations for nearly a year and finally went out of business only a few years after that. There's been only a little speculation about the cause of the disaster. It was never really the subject of an extensive investigation, but apparently it was the result of a common, but in this case, tragic and deadly miscalculation more than 600 feet below ground south of Moweaqua.
It seems appropriate the serenity of a city park would be the setting for a monument honoring the men who lost their lives in the disaster of 1932. Their names etched in granite here are probably the only evidence of their fate. And so, the story of the disaster of 1932 is told. The deaths of 54 men here, far beneath the surface of the earth, is just another chapter in the story of the birth and growth of a nation.
Investigators later determined that it was a methane gas explosion that caused the collapse. Arguably, no one in the community went untouched by that disaster. Some families were forever changed, having lost multiple generations. In 1990, the community came together to dedicate a historical marker decades in the making. Here's Michelle Kelly.
On December 24, 1932, the Moweaqua coal mine disaster claimed the lives of 54 miners. Today, an historical marker and monument stand at the site of the tragic accident. The miners' names have been etched in stone to keep their spirit alive. 82-year-old Margaret Corby of Springfield has hung on to the memory of her husband, father-in-law, and brother-in-law who all died in the disaster. Margaret is one of 3 surviving mine widows.
Well, it's been 58 years.
Well, I've been out there all morning getting this around.
And
Well, you know, one time we were on a tour.
it still hurts.
The bus driver always talked about it. He said, gee, you got cold hands. Yours is warm. I said, well, we'll get together. Well, when we got into the restaurant, somebody come up.
I don't think anybody can go through anything like that and not feel it permanently.
Margaret, like others who lost loved ones in the mine explosion, had no other choice but to pick up the pieces and go on with her life.
Oh, I survived. There wasn't anything else to do. I had a baby to raise. And I raised her.
Margaret's grandson, Stephen, says he admires his grandmother for her strength.
She's a very strong-willed woman. She has done a lot of things in her life. She continues to do things and surprise everybody in the family.
I never forget. Sometimes I think those that are gone, they're closer to you after they're gone than they are when you have them and should be appreciating them.
The Moweaqua Coal Mine Museum contains pictures and mining materials for others to learn about the men who died 58 years ago. But those who lived through it say they'll never forget. In Moweaqua, Michelle Kelly, the Channel 3 News at 10.
Today, the Moweaqua Coal Mining Museum continues to tell the story of the disaster and life in the mines. The legacy of coal mining is also right beneath our feet. When the mines closed to business, their tunnels remain open. Through the years, sinkholes have appeared, creating both a surprise for property owners and a danger to the public. Jennifer Hendricks shows us what happened at a closed mine in Mattoon that folks had all but forgotten about. It's from the Vault, 2001.
People in the Mattoon area knew the mine was here, but no one knew exactly where it was located until now.
The map of the mine didn't show or tell any longitude of the mine. All we knew that there was a mine in the area.
In fact, in the 1930s, Dan Irons and his family was afraid to build here for fear something like this would happen one day. They even asked the state of Illinois.
Before we ever built here, but we got no answers. And there wasn't any old-timers left who could tell us anything.
Now, city inspectors are checking the growing sinkhole every day.
It's been a little bit every day. Some days it's grown a couple foot larger, and other days it's maybe 4 foot larger.
The concern is that the sinkhole might expand to the glass-covered greenhouses before the state fixes it. The city's fire chief is keeping tabs to be sure no water or gas mains are in danger.
I've been with the Mattoon Fire Department a little over 28 years, and I've never experienced anything like this.
The only thing people in Mattoon can do now is wait for the state to get here and fix the sinkhole before it causes any more damage. Jennifer Hendricks, 3 News.
This map, built by the Illinois State Geological Survey, shows where known mines exist today. But even then, the underground boundaries of most of the mines are not exact. Homeowners in those areas are encouraged to look at mine subsidence insurance. You never know what you might find when you're not trying. An unexpected discovery sheds new light on early Champaign County history. That's coming up from the Vault. Plus, a jukebox junkie saving every spin.
From the Vault, celebrating the rich heritage of Central Illinois. Sponsored by Sunset Funeral Homes. Remember, celebrate, heal.
In an era when you can have any kind of music through an app on your phone, it's hard to remember how much fun it was to gather with your friends to try to choose songs on a jukebox. In 1985, PM Magazine's Carrie White met a man who fell in love with jukeboxes and spent a lifetime restoring them.
Thanks to Dave Dietrich, this post-World War II Wurlitzer was saved from the juke heap. It took Dave 8 months to restore it, and it needed $2,500 in parts. Not only does Dave enjoy his hobby, but he finds restoration relaxing.
It all started back in 1972, my last year in college. I picked up one old jukebox and fixed it up and put it in my room. And from that point on, this whole thing just kind of started growing.
Dave finds old coin-operated music machines in all kinds of places, in barns, pool halls, and learns about them by word of mouth.
There was a Wurlitzer 1015 that I had before this one that I had restored. And it was in the garage of an old girlfriend's home. And I tried for many years to get this jukebox, to buy the jukebox. The girl's father would not sell it. And I kept prodding and prodding and asking, he wouldn't sell it. And finally, I gave him the ultimatum. Max, I'm getting very serious about your daughter. Either sell me the jukebox or I'll marry her. And the next night, I took the jukebox home. And that is a true story. You didn't know that, did you?
Dave also has 4 Seeburg jukeboxes that he has restored.
You know, the hard part is not restoring the jukebox, it's picking out the 50 records that I'm going to put on the jukebox out of the 15,000. The Nickelodeon was manufactured by Seeburg Company out of Chicago in 1926. And what you see here is about 1 year of my life restoring it back to its condition. I know I've stopped or saved one jukebox from eventually ending up on the junk heap. And I am a strong believer in that these jukeboxes are definitely a piece of Americana and should be preserved.
Well, there's an old saying that one person's junk is another person's treasure, and nobody knows that better than antiques dealers. WCIA's Amanda Evans met one St. Joe antiquer with the find of a lifetime. It's From the Vault, 2008.
Denny Hubert has spent her whole life looking for beautiful things. Treasures from around the world fill her shop, Red Barn Antiques in St. Joseph. But when this book landed right in front of her, she had no idea what she just stumbled across.
I was shocked. We bought this from a man, and when he brought it in, I bought it because there was a wanted dead or alive poster in the back, and it was done by Judge Cunningham way back when.
For months, the book sat on the shelf until Hubert decided to give it one last look.
This is the U of I. This is the funding of the U of I. This is the founding of the U of I.
It's the original ledger listing the names of the founding fathers at the University of Illinois. Names like Simeon Busey, the founder of Busey Bank, and J.S. McCullough, the county clerk in the 1880s.
There are just so many names when you read it. They're names that the streets are named after, like McCullough. And there's all these entries of all these people that we know by name of streets only.
As history tells us, people in Champaign County only had a few months to raise the money to get the university here. It was a fight between Urbana and Bloomington. In the end, this list of names, surrounded by dollar amounts, may have changed the course of history. Their donations changed the lives of thousands of people to come. Now Hubert hopes to get the book back where it started.
We'd like to get it really back into the hands of the university.
A university historian says Hubert's book was a one-of-a-kind find. Your chance to ride along in the Booze Balloon, that's still ahead. Plus, making tracks, it's not just a train set, it's an entire line.
From the Vault, celebrating the rich history of Central Illinois. Brought to you in part by the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. Online at presidentlincoln.illinois.gov.
Playing with toy trains sounds like something your grandfather would have done. But is old-fashioned all bad? You're not going to think so when you see what one Central Illinois youngster got to play with. In this story, From the Vault, here's Pamela Marshall.
Then the engine hooks on it. Then he pulls the cars.
This is just one of little Jimmy's garden-sized trains. Some of the cars are as big as 2 feet long and 7 inches high and run on an outdoors track.
I was looking for something unusual for Christmas for him, for his first Christmas. And I saw this little train, the G-scale train. I thought that would be nice to have for underneath the Christmas tree. And within 3 years, it's evolved into the outside setup that you see today.
There are 12 cars in all, with true-to-life details down to the lights and smoking engines to the people inside the cars.
You got all the switches on? I have 2 major engines, 1 small switching engine for the track. All the electronics for the track are underground, and they're all controlled at the transformer through a series of switches, rocker switches, that I can change the points or switches and have a fairly sophisticated switching operation going on while the train's running. Except for today, all the switches are frozen up.
Jim says it took him a few months to put this 300-foot track together. The track is made of wood, brass rails, and a special plastic, able to withstand all types of weather, and a 3-year-old.
If it gets dark, then he turns those lights on, so you can see where the big engine is going.
I keep telling everybody it's his train, but I'm very protective of it in that sense. But it is his train.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, still to come, a new meaning for sky-high corn. That's our classic commercial coming up. Plus, up, up, and away. The heat of competition drives balloonists to new heights. That's next.
The stories and people you remember from Central Illinois. Once again, From the Vault with Matt Metcalf.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's a balloon. More than 30 of them. Most of us have not had the chance to see balloon racing up close, but Channel 3 reporter Jody Lyon did, and she took us along for the ride.
A big bear, a giant gym shoe, and a pretty impressive peanut. Just a few of the special shaped balloons at this year's Balloon Classic, all unusual, but none of them can boast they're the biggest. About 5 o'clock this morning, we met up with Mike Kirk, the pilot of a 13-story whiskey bottle, the tallest aircraft in the U.S. After it was fired up, we were on our way and learned about the challenges of piloting special shapes.
We don't have a maneuvering vent like the other ones do. We've got a maneuvering vent, but it's real slow reacting, and so we have to do our maneuvering very slowly.
The 105 balloonists were vying for top targeter. They threw beanbags on 3 large markers as they coasted over.
I think I see it. It looks white almost.
But the job's always made a little easier by the chase crew on the ground. The early timers helped Mike navigate, telling him where he is in relationship to the targets.
You need to get more right. Not a lot, but you definitely need more right.
Okay, we copy.
And sometimes using other special shapes as guides to the marker.
But you can't just say, go for the multicolor balloon up there, or go for the orange balloon, because there's just a million orange or multicolored balloons. Say, go for Mr. Peanut.
Through the flight, we learned a lot about ballooning, navigating, and the thrill of floating, bringing the whole experience into focus. We also learned about surviving a 500-foot drag landing.
Are you okay? Hold my glasses. Okay. Sorry. Okay. We got a little dirty there.
Jody Lyon, Channel 3 News, Danville.
Stay with us. Our classic commercial is next. It's never too soon to start thinking about planting season. Let's get a look at one option from 1963.
Look! Look! It's in orbit!
Yes, Trissler's hybrids are again sky high in performance. It's because they have a new look that's out of this world. Never before have you seen such good-looking hybrids. You can see it in the field where Trissler hybrids stand up against drought, blight, disease, and lodging. And you can see that new look in the well-filled ears that hang just right for the picker. and in the yield at harvest time when you get extra bushels that put extra dollars in your pocketbook. In actual field tests, Trissler hybrids outproduce competitive varieties. That's why it pays to plant all Tristlers. Let Trissler hybrids increase your profit in 1964. Choose from the 9 varieties especially developed for this territory. Place your order now and enjoy a special discount. Just see the Trissler dealer in your neighborhood or contact Trissler Seed Farms at Fairmount, Illinois. Look for the new look in hybrid seed corn. And remember, Trissler hybrids always suit you to a T.
Agriculture, part of our Central Illinois legacy. Time to close up the vault once again, but we'll be back next time. We hope to see you then.